now be recorded.
Okay, I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kodowski.
Here.
Gary Paul. Chris Atkinson.
Here.
Jay Krieger.
Here.
Mike Skippington.
Here.
Corey Campbell.
Here.
And Jim Allen.
Present.
Please stand for the pledge. Please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Action on the minutes from the Plan Commission meeting of September 19th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state your name and address. You're limited to 5 minutes. The board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personnel issues cannot be discussed nor individuals named, and the board is not able to take action at this meeting. Is there anybody out here or online that would like to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda? Is there anybody who would like to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda? Hearing nothing, we're moving on. Number 7, action items. A, consider, discuss, act on a site plan review request by Robert E. Lee and Associates for a new 4-story Cambria hotel located at 2113 through 2145 South Oneida Street, parcels VA-67-A-8, VA-67-A, VA-460-P-108, and VA-90-4-11. Hearing.
All right, thank you. I will share my screen and bring the proposed site plan up for view. All right, the requested site plan review is before you following the PUD action for a height exceedance up to 58 feet and a minimum of 122 parking stalls, which was approved by the village board at their September village board meeting. So before you tonight is the site plan within those parameters. As indicated on the screen, the location of the proposed hotel is towards the north end of the property, Oneida Street right here. North, of course, is to the right. The frontage is on Oneida Street. The L-shaped was to accommodate the additional, the 100 rooms that was necessary to meet the project following the change from 5 stories to 4 stories. In terms of the site plan, there are access points to South Oneida Street, right here, here, and here. There are 3 total. Currently, I believe there are a total of 5 access points to South Oneida Street. This will certainly clean up some of those access points to South Oneida Street. Additional access point right here to Element Way. In terms of the couple items to note, since the project height is taller than 50 feet and located within Airport Zone C, airport approval will be needed, which is common for this type of project. As identified in the site plan, again, the hotel mass is located perpendicular to South Oneida Street. This was following discussions with the neighboring residential properties to the west. There was concern about seeing the entire mass of the building up against South Oneida Street. The developer oriented it perpendicular to minimize that mass and that view for those residents, as well as the hotel rooms, windows overlooking South Oneida Street. In terms of the property itself, it is zoned VC Village Center. The proposed use of a hotel and ancillary cocktail lounge restaurant are permitted uses within the VC zoning district. And it does also meet the dimensional standards of the VC Village Center zoning district. In terms of the exterior of the building, this is a rendering Again, South Oneida Street is right here in front, and this continues following to the east. Additional elevations, as far as exterior materials, again, they do meet the requirements of our site plan design review code. Exterior materials including aluminum storefront window glazing, adhered stone, thin brick, and architectural wall panels with concealed fasteners. The adhered stone and thin brick are utilized also on the first floor to meet our requirements for a minimum 3-foot masonry wainscot on this type of building. As indicated on sheet A200, rooftop mechanical equipment will be screened, and wall panels will use fully concealed fasteners, again, as required under our code. Site landscaping, as depicted in sheet L100, includes trees in the parking lot, islands, and shrubs, and smaller plantings around the building. As the subject site plan is within the VC Village Center zoning district, it does require review by Site Plan Review Committee, Plan Commission, and Village Board. Site Plan Review Committee did recommend approval of the site plan with staff conditions this afternoon on a 5-0 vote, I believe it was. In addition to the staff report, you do have an additional addendum that was put forth by village staff, identifying exactly how the review objectives for both the PUD and Site Plan Review Committee review actions are handled. It goes into in-depth in terms of ordinance requirements, comprehensive plan, bike and ped plan, so on and so forth. You certainly can review that. I can go through it in detail, or we certainly can review it at your leisure. In terms of the project itself, I guess Joel, Patrick, anything to add on that?
Nothing in detail, but just to continue on Aaron's presentation of the addendum to the findings of fact. Those are being presented to you as part of the record for tonight's consideration. So if you do have any specific questions regarding the details of that addendum, we'd be happy to answer those.
The development team is also in the audience if you have any questions for them.
Does anybody on the board have any questions, comments?
I've just got a couple of different things that I'd like to kind of discuss. And one is, I think it's a very good project, but I know that the people in the area and that are concerned about the lighting. At what point do we get determined what the lighting's going to be like, not only from the building, but also is there going to be shaded lights in the parking lot so that Element Way doesn't get the lights in, so that people across the street don't get the lights in? When does that kind of get filled out so that we kind of know and can approve those type of things?
That is one of the conditions of approval, is a lighting cut sheet with lighting plan be submitted to village staff for review to ensure it conforms to our light ordinance.
Okay, all right. The other thing would be the noise. I know we do have noise ordinances around the amplification of sound after 10 o'clock at night during weekdays, and I believe on weekends it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm also wondering if there could be some limitation to maybe cut that back just a little bit so that we would minimize the disturbance in the neighborhoods. I'm not quite sure how that would fit into an approval process, but I'd really like to see that happen. The third thing, and I will share that a lot of these are coming directly from the neighbors, and Jerry and Dave, who have been at all the other meetings, unfortunately couldn't be coming tonight, so they sent a very nice email, and they also indicated that they're definitely not against the project, they just have these concerns. So I think it's good for us to be addressing whatever it is. Yet the last one, and they even admit, is the traffic, which we don't have a lot of control over, but I think what we should be doing is pushing back to the county to be looking at Oneida Street as that thoroughfare now coming through Ashwaubenon and everything that's happening around it, both from the Titletown area, both from the east of Lambeau Field and everything that's happening, I really think Oneida Street needs to be really looked at as a thoroughfare and what should be happening with that street as far as the traffic and how do we manage it and keep it at a reasonable speed, because here we're going to have another building, which I don't know how much of a problem it'd be any more than turning into Sammy's, but you're going to have more cars turning in, making left turns in that. So therefore, you can be having more accidents and things like that. So speed is going to become a factor. So I think that's something that I know we don't have direct control over, but if there's some way we can be sending a letter to the county requesting us to, them to be actually doing another review of the Oneida Street traffic, I'd be highly recommending that we do that.
Okay, there was a traffic impact analysis that was done prior to the element apartments going in.
Okay.
But, certainly we can talk with Brian and Steve to see if there's a need to update that based upon current trends in the area.
I know, Jay, it was also brought up, one of the issues with the traffic on Oneida about a right turn only going out
Right.
of this development. I know when Element Way was first put in, there was also talk about possibly a streetlight being put at Marvell, which would possibly slow down some traffic too.
traffic.
I mean, people do, last night, there was a car drag racing down Oneida Street, so it happens.
Right.
The whole problem with Oneida Street is between Morse and Cormier, it's the longest strip without any lighting. You take it from Lombardi to Hanson, there isn't enough room to gain a lot of speed other than what I just said.
Right.
So that's been an issue. The people have been complaining it, and I agree that's where we should be looking at something with the explosion of people and cars in that area. But I living up the street in the hill there, it's a drag strip.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Your other issues that you had brought up, Jay, this plan board pretty much covers all that stuff. So I think we got all those bases taken care of as far as lighting and things of that significance.
I have a question about the 5 outlets onto Oneida Street, 5 cut-ins.
That's what's currently there with the existing development. What's proposed are 3 driveway access points, so you're eliminating 2.
Okay, and these are direct, so they're coming out, and these are going to be right into the homes across the street, correct? I mean, if they're coming out, the lighting on the cars are going to be right?
Correct, as it is currently.
So do you have another access point off of Element? Or can you make 2 on Element and cut down the ones on Oneida, the cut-ins?
There's one driveway access onto Element Way. It certainly will be used.
Aaron, to kind of comment on that too, in order to add another egress on Element, we would need additional right-of-way. So based on where their property parcel ends in relation to the intersection, there isn't sufficient room to locate another egress point in proximity to the intersection for effective traffic purposes. So at this point, based on their current development, they would not be able to place another egress point based on village standard for where that egress would be in relation to the intersection on Element.
And we had community input on the, on these access points? I mean, I'm just thinking about the residents across the street with lights coming out of the hotel onto, their cars are going to be coming out.
All the meetings that I was at, Corey, nobody brought that up. I think more of the people would have been happy that they're going from 5 going on to Oneida down to 3.
I don't know because I was not at any of
Yeah.
those meetings. So,
Yeah.
okay, I wanted to find out if anyone raised that issue or There was an issue, okay.
Personally, I think more traffic goes in during daylight than what goes out. In a hotel, you bring people in at 5, you let them out at 8 in the morning, so, any business along that road, they're getting lights flashed anyway, it don't make a difference,
And you're reducing it already.
but
Okay.
and the light on the street itself kind of hides the light from some from the vehicles.
One thing I did neglect to list out the recommended conditions of approval, if I could just read through those just briefly. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, as the building is greater than 50 feet tall and within Airport Zoning District C, applicant must obtain an application for height permit and approval from the Green Bay Austin Straubel Airport Director. Submittal of a lighting plan with cut sheet and proposed light fixture documentation. Recordation of a certified survey map to remove any parcel lines from going through the building or located within any setback areas. Meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and all other applicable village ordinances. From engineering, coordinate lateral abandonment, water, and new lateral installation, water, storm, hydrant, relocate in road right-of-way with village utility supervisor. Remove the wide concrete apron on Element Way, show on the demolition plan, and replace with a standard barrier curb and restore terrace area to grass except in location of proposed driveway. Coordinate all driveway curb cut work on Oneida Street with Brown County Highway Department. Stormwater, submit a stormwater management plan to the village engineer for review. From public safety, coordinate with public safety regarding exact location of fire department connection, FDC, and the connection diameters. Contact public safety to determine the Knox box location near the main entrance and secondary location near the FDC. From forestry, please verify that the large maturing trees, Freeman maple, hackberry, honey locust, and sycamore, used will not interfere with parking lot lighting located in the interior parking lot islands. If so, please consider using a small maturing species such as Japanese tree lilac or flowering crab. And from bike and ped, reposition the bike parking meeting the standards of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals near the main entrance in a more visible and secure location. Those were the recommended conditions of approval from staff.
Okay, does anybody up here have any other comments, questions?
I had everything that Jay had written down myself as well. Aaron, is there a way to go back and talk to the developer and potentially limit that noise amplification down to 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock instead of 10 to 11?
It's certain we can talk to him about it. We can bring it up as something that was brought up during the approvals.
Yep.
As long as they meet the ordinance, there's not a whole lot of teeth behind it, but we certainly can talk to them about being a good neighbor that way.
Excellent. As for the traffic and the light emittance, I don't necessarily think they're specific to this project, more pertain to kind of any development that we have coming in on Oneida Street, so something to take into consideration.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I want to know if staff got this. I got it today. And if you read it and said, every point that they have there, you looked at it and said, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
I will let Joel and Patrick take that one.
Staff did receive the letter from the Murphy Desmond Law Firm regarding what you're referencing. We have reviewed it yesterday, and while we disagree with what's kind of been stated in the letter, I think that the board's actions and the committees and commission's actions thus far have been appropriate. I'm not really necessarily prepared to get into any specifics as to the legality and validity of some of the arguments that are made in the letter. Just generally speaking, I think that the commission and the board and the committees have acted appropriately thus far.
I looked at one part of it where he goes, building this for the sake of 8 games. And I said, I got to believe Cambria has done a little bit more research than saying, oh yeah, we can build this and 8 games will carry us for the 360 days of the year. I don't, but I got to believe their marketing firm is better than that.
I think also just to add to kind of this context, so obviously for tonight's purposes under site plan review, you're really evaluating the proposed site plan administratively against the code. Staff has prepared a memorandum that outlines the requirements that have been met, the conditions that are necessary in order to comply with code, pending the approval, as well as an addendum that identifies specifically areas where we feel that the approval would complement both code, comprehensive plan, and other guiding documents for the village. So we are confident from a staff perspective that the village has met its requirements under the law. And for tonight's purposes, your role is to ensure administratively that the application has met the site plan requirements under the code.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll move to approve the site plan for the new Cambria with staff conditions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Cambria Hotel site plan at 2113 to 2145 South Oneida Street with staff conditions. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, 7B, consider, discuss, act on a planned unit development request by Ingberg Anderson Architects for a new active adult apartment building and branch library, the Promenade, located at 2305 San Luis Place, parcel VA-99-5.
I will recuse myself from this item.
Thank you. Okay, Aaron.
All right, thank you. As mentioned in the agenda item, the proposed site plan is for a new active adult apartment building with a new Ashwaubenon branch of the Brown County Library and a small cafe, a number of exterior and interior amenities for the residents of the complex. This is on the site of the former San Luis Manor Nursing Home, or Bay at Maple Ridge most recently. That building will be demolished, and the proposal is to locate this building and construct it in its place. The proposal is for market rate active adult apartments. As you can see on the site plan, just a little bit of reference, Cormier Road right here to the north, San Luis Place to the west, Target further to the west, Nativity Parish to the north, Oneida Street retail restaurant to the east, and then some office type uses to the south. The request for this evening is for a PUD review and site plan review for the proposal. The PUD request is to permit the development of a mix of uses, including 83 1- and 2-bedroom market rate active adult apartments, a new 16,500 square foot Ashwaubenon branch of the Brown County Library and small cafe at roughly 1,350 square feet, and increase the allowable building height in the property from 36 feet to 75 feet. One item of note, if you're familiar with the property, it does slope from east to west as you go across the property. The project itself will be built into the hill. So it is proposed to be 75 feet on the east side, so towards Oneida Street, and then actually 58 feet on the west side, fronting on Target. The hill, of course, continues to the rise as you go to the west. In terms of the site plan itself, or the floor plate, because it is built into the slope, the first floor is actually covered parking for residents. You also have then parking along the east side of the property for visitors and library patrons. There's a drive-through drop-off book lane here as well for purposes of pickup, drop-off, students, books, whatever you might have. The library located right here is at ground level with the patio pavilion area. The next slide that I'll show, it does show the library, but it is still just one story. It's just it is open 2 stories tall, basically. On that first floor of the apartment building, then you have a series of amenity rooms, floors, pool, grilling area, I guess a turf patio area for yoga, so on and so forth. Additional floor plates then have the amenity rooms on each floor, as well as 1 and 2 bedroom apartments up to the roof right here. Elevations, including materials, are consistent with our site plan design review requirements, including aluminum storefront window glazing, fiberglass window assemblies, aluminum balconies, masonry veneer, quarry stone veneer, and board formed concrete, and 2 types of system wall cladding with concealed fasteners. The masonry veneer, quarry stone veneer, and board formed concrete are utilized on the first floor to meet our masonry requirements for first floor buildings with wall panels. One item of note I'll touch on as well in the conditions of approval is to make sure that any rooftop or ground-mounted mechanicals visible from the street right-of-way or property boundaries are appropriately screened. Site plan review committee did take action and make a recommendation on the proposal this afternoon. That was a 5-0 recommendation for approval as well with staff conditions. In terms of staff conditions, I'll run through those briefly here. As I mentioned, screen any rooftop or ground-mounted mechanical units visible from the property boundaries or public right-of-way. Verify there's an accessible route, accessible meaning for wheelchairs or other impaired. In addition to the exterior monumental stair in order to access the patio seating, coffee shop, and other amenities on level 1 from the parking lot. Meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review code and all other applicable village ordinances. From engineering, coordinate sewer connection in Cormier Road with village utility supervisor. From stormwater, revise the stormwater management report. Page 3, Dutchman's Creek watershed. It should be the Dutchman Creek watershed, not the Fox River, with 52% total suspended solids or TSS. Required to meet the total maximum daily load or TMDL, not 40%. Kind of getting the weeds on that, but those are all important aspects for the stormwater management plan. And there's also a note that there's a note where it mentions Whitewater instead of Ashwaubenon. From a site plan standpoint, include a flat swale slope to the east along the south property line, so the point discharge from the bioretention storm sewer outfall does not create an issue with neighboring building. From public safety, coordinate with public safety regarding exact location of the FDC, fire department connection, and connection diameters. Contact public safety to determine the Knox box location near the main entrance and secondary location near the FDC. The landscape plan provided is, this is from forestry. The landscape plan provided is conceptual in nature. Please submit a final landscape plan for additional review. A note that there are overhead primary electrical lines in the right-of-way along both Cormier Road and San Luis Place. Please ensure that tree plantings near them will not interfere with the wires when the trees reach full maturity. And from Bike and Ped, ensure the proposed bicycle parking facilities meet the standards of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals. Additionally, similar to the previous item, there is an addendum that lists out how the proposed development meets the PUD and Site Plan Review Committee review objectives for the record. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we do have the development team in the audience as well as online.
Does anybody have any questions? I know one person at site plan brought up, there is a swimming pool. It is for the residents. It's not for just the general public, so.
How big's the library compared to the one that's there now?
Twice the size, I think?
Roughly, a little
Same
under
size?
twice the size.
Twice
Say
the size.
Twice the size.
16,000 square feet. So,
Only 2 pickleball courts, huh? No, I think it's a fantastic project, and if nobody else has any comments. I recommend the approval of the PUD for the new active adult apartment building and branch library located at 2305 San Luis Place,
Second?
including staff conditions.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the new active adult apartment building and branch library located at 2305 San Luis Place with staff conditions. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, number 8, items for next agenda.
Nothing's been submitted yet, about a couple weeks ago yet.
Okay? And now I need a motion to adjourn,
Motion to
please.
adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
This conference is no longer being recorded.